Good afternoon, Talking After Dark family, and welcome back to another episode of Talking After Dark. Today I'm joined with King, and King and I are going to have a conversation about relationships before, during, and after, which will be inclusive of the meeting, the marriage, and the aftermath of that, and then the preparation of making yourself ready for the next relationship after one event has ended. And you will probably find during the course of this conversation that there's a lot that goes on from the beginning to the end and the beginning of a new relationship, or just in the mindset of moving on. So let's just call this a discussion with King. So Mr. King, how are you?
I'm great, sir, and yourself?
I'm very good, man. Thank you for joining me in this episode of Talking After Dark, where I try to encourage my listeners to continue to challenge themselves about the loss of relationships and conditioning themselves and making themselves ready for what goes on after the loss of a relationship, by keeping God steadfast in their life and their living, to make sure that as they move forward that they are processing themselves and making themselves ready for future perspectives. Because if the Bible is correct in saying that there is someone for everyone, then certainly if relationships don't work out with one person, that means that perhaps that wasn't the right person, and there lies an opportunity to get yourself together to be ready to receive the right person when they come along. So if I understand your situation correctly, you were once married.
I was.
So how long were you married?
I was married for 17 years.
So tell me, how did you meet your lovely wife?
It's so cliche, but she was a church girl.
Okay.
I was in the street doing what you do in the street, and my mom was encouraging me to come to church. I wasn't trying to hear that. So I finally went to church one morning, and I saw a young lady in there around my age, on fire for the Lord, period. And they caught me. And I went to church every other Sunday after that so I could see her.
So you weren't really going to church for the Lord. You were going because you saw something you want, or somebody you wanted to see.
Well, I saw someone who was on fire for the Lord that caught me.
So that was the attraction.
She was on fire for the Lord.
And you were trying to get there.
I was trying to get out or I was being called to come out of the street.
Right.
I had people tell me, when God wants you, he's going to back you in the corner. You ain't better run.
Right.
I had a man tell me one time, son, you're glowing. You need to get in somebody's church.
Gotcha.
Like, what does that mean? He's like, you got a gift. You got a calling. And that woman began my journey of going back to church.
So if that woman was on fire for the Lord, and she was filled with the Holy Ghost and Spirit led, and you saw that in her, and enough that you guys fell in love and you got married, well, what happened to the demise of the relationship?
You just said something that I'm gonna tap on.
Please do.
I don't think we fell in love. I honestly think we were a rebound for one another. She had just gotten out of a relationship that was detrimental to her mental, and I had just gotten out of one as well. So, they say two hurt people hurt people.
Right.
Well, two hurt people got together under the illusion that we love each other. Now, I grew to actually love her more than she will ever want to believe.
But as you said that, then, and as I continue to encourage my listeners to do this one particular thing, and that is, after the loss of a relationship, don't hurry yourself into another relationship. Take the time to get to know yourself again. Reacquaint yourself with yourself. And certainly don't go into a relationship while you're still hurting, while you still have not recovered from the last relationship, so that there is no opportunity for a rebound. The chances are, as it was for you, people who enter into relationships as a result of a rebound. Regardless of how long that relationship lasts, it doesn't last. It eventually comes to an end. When those people get strong enough and they build themselves up enough to resist those things that caused them to be in that situation in the beginning, they generally start looking elsewhere. They start having other feelings and they attempt to see other dynamics in that relationship that's probably not going to exist because they were hurting. And when they were hurting, they needed that person to cover them in a sense. And now that they're no longer hurting and they have recovered from that loss, they no longer need that person.
The resources no longer
They just sort of accommodate each other, but they don't need each other. You can't be in a healthy and effective relationship and expect it to grow when you don't need each other.
Understood.
You have to always need, as long as there's a relationship between two people, they have to always need each other. If ever there comes a time when you don't need the person that you're with, then you guys should not be together.
I agree.
So carry on.
Well, fast forward, I was always there for her. It got to the point where I wanted to actually be with her. And I popped the question after 2 years. Yeah, after 2 years, because we had our first child, after she made me wait a year before we had any sex. Because I was having to take multiple HIV tests. I just want to put that out there. Do you know your status? I know mine. After that, we got married. And
were you ready to get married?
In my heart, I felt like I was. Was
she ready?
I can honestly say now, she told me after the fact that she felt like I forced her. So I guess the answer would be, I guess not.
But you thought she was?
I thought she was.
But you guys stayed together for 17 years.
17 years.
How do you stay together for 17 years and you don't love each other? How does that happen? And how many children do y'all have together?
2.
2 children.
That's a good question, sir. Well, I mean, we made it work.
How? How did you make that work for 17 years, not loving the person that you're with?
Well, again, I told you I learned to love her.
Did you learn not to love her?
I put it out there now, like I told the pastor the other day. I'll remarry the woman again.
The same woman?
The same woman.
But yet you're divorced.
Yet I'm divorced because
why is that?
I chose not to continue to go through what we were going through.
Which was?
I had an affair. Let's get it out there.
While you were married?
While I was married.
Okay.
And I told my wife about it. Once I told her about it, as any individual, it's going to hurt you. So hurt causes pain. So I started feeling the pain of her hurt, of me going out and being with another woman.
Okay.
We agreed that I did what I did because you were a part of me not being happy at home. You agreed that you were a part of that. Okay, so if you're going to forgive me, then let's forgive me and let's move on and move past this. But I've learned that some people can't move past things. They have to keep bringing it up.
Well, that's probably because forgiveness in and of itself is not a completion of the process of forgiveness. Forgiving is one thing. Forgiveness is the process. I forgive you, done. But in the forgiving process, I have to learn how to tell myself to accept that and to live with that and to not react to it or respond to it every time I feel an inkling or an inclination to feel indifferent about where we are today. But because I'm reminded of what you did and the pain and the hurt that I feel. So it's a process. It doesn't, just because somebody say I forgive you, it doesn't take care forgiving in totality. It's a process. So what happened?
After the process?
Yeah.
We lived together, but we were not living as a unit. We were living together separate in the same house.
What does that mean?
It means two ships in the night.
Did y'all sleep in the same bed?
No.
Did y'all have conjugal visits?
No.
So
The woman was hurt.
Okay.
I had to accept that those are what I'm feeling are the things that you are going to get from a woman who has been hurt.
Well, you know, men, we get hurt sometimes too, and we feel the same way that women do when they get hurt. I mean, hurt is hurt.
True.
And, you know, and it's processed the same way, whether it's them or her. It just happened to be in this situation, it was her.
Well, my hurt also, which to me, is why I went and found another woman to sleep with.
Which was?
That I felt that you were rejecting me as your husband. If the Bible says the marriage bed is not defiled, I'm your husband. Your body is mine. My body is yours. But I can't have your body when I want it. I understand it's your will as well, but we're married.
So what was the reason why she wouldn't have sex with you? Why y'all couldn't be intimate with each other? Which made you feel like you had to get it somewhere? What was the reason for that?
She basically said, I'm mean.
Mean?
She said, I'm mean. There's no sweet way for me to put that out there. That she said I was mean and insensitive. And just because you're the breadwinner, don't mean that you can just disregard me. Meaning, when I come home from work, I want to talk, tell you how my day went, but you come home and all of your day is so much for you that you don't want to hear what I have to say because your day.
So you somewhat felt emasculated. You felt underappreciated. You felt unattached to the relationship at home.
Eventually.
So which made you feel unloved and uncared for, and definitely not taken care of. So it made you had to seek out attention elsewhere. So even in spite of all of that, you guys stayed married 17 years, and now you're divorced. So how long after notifying her of this affair did you guys stay together before the divorce came?
About 5 years.
So for 5 years, did y'all have conjugal visits?
Off and on, and it was not the pleasant of conjugal visits.
All right, so
it was more like a wham bam, thank you, sir.
So while y'all were going through this, did you still love her?
At that point,
the 5 years you went through after telling her about your affair, those 5 years that took y'all to the divorce, did you still love her?
At that point, I tried my best to continue to be that man that I was prior.
Did you cheat on her again?
No.
You think she cheated on you?
I don't know.
If you were a betting man, would you bet that she did or she didn't?
I would say she fears God too much.
She feared God enough that she couldn't continue to believe what the Bible said about honor your husband and treat them, as that for whether sickness and in health or good, bad, ugly, otherwise.
I can't speak for that one.
But I mean, that would have suggested that but that's still your husband and yada, yada, yada. And,
I thought that too.
Mm-hmm. So what finally got y'all to the point that y'all decided y'all gonna get divorced?
Me?
You?
Yeah.
So you made the decision to divorce?
I did.
Based on what? A totality of what circumstances?
I'm not about to be miserable, for one, any longer. If you're not happy here with me, why not you go your way, I go my way, and let's move on. And I told her, there may be someone out there for you, better for you than myself. But we'll never know if we're anchoring one another down.
Okay. And what was her response to that?
She didn't want the divorce.
She didn't want to be intimate with you. She didn't want to be loving and caring and affectionate and concerning with you. And she didn't want to divorce either.
She didn't want the divorce either.
So finally, you guys filed for divorce.
All right.
But the most interesting things about y'all divorce is that you guys are still living together.
We do.
How long has this been going on? How long has the divorce been final?
January 25th of this year.
So January of this year. So it is now the 6th month of the year. And you guys are the 7th month of the year. And you guys are still living together.
Well, we resumed living together.
So at some point y'all separated?
Yeah, because financially, I believe I can honestly say without bragging, I was the one keeping everything afloat.
But if you're no longer
Financially.
married to a woman and you no longer love them that way, why would you care enough to still live with them and support them financially until they get on their feet? I'm a little confused, and I think the public will probably be a little bit confused as well. So why get a divorce if you guys are still going to live together because you still want to take care of her?
It's not that I still want to take care of her.
What is it?
It's just that I'm not going to have my daughters with their mother out on the street. That's something I had to come to the conclusion of and remove myself out of the equation to see that, yeah, maybe I don't need to move forward with a relationship right now because I've always sought for a woman to be with. I've never experienced a woman finding me. So you said something, maybe I don't know who I am at 49, but I know who I was before I got to where I'm at, and who I was then was just a little dude out on the street, not knowing how to really be a lover. I just knew how to be a boy. So to me, as a man, my daughters are more important to me than my pride of having or hearing someone saying you stupid, blah blah woo woo for take. Well, I'll be stupid until that woman can get on her feet, but my daughters are seeing what I'm doing. And you know those words that you might have said to my daughters, don't get a man like your daddy. But maybe those won't resonate so loud in their mental because they see what their daddy is doing.
So with that being said, why did that not matter to you guys before getting a divorce? Why were your daughters not important enough for you to say, well, I'm not going to divorce their mother. I am going to fight this out. I'm gonna take it its fullest extent to its fullest court until my daughters are secured and they are grown and gone and whatever that situation is. Why did that mentality not take you to keeping your wife and your marriage intact?
I will quickly discard a relationship to be happy. If that makes any sense at all. I will, what it is, fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll flee. Instead of sitting here and dealing with my happiness is more important to me than yours, hers, his. But in the meantime, I'm not so selfish that I won't extend the courtesy of helping if I can.
So now that you've extended this olive branch to your now ex-wife, but your current live-in ex-wife, how do you and how do she move forward?
As we are. Cordial and co-parenting.
So what does that look like for you for as...
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
So what if you meet the perfect woman right now and you're in this current situation? How do you define where you are and where you need to be?
Well, I'm going to let her know off top. I'm still living with my ex-wife for the time being. And I'm not trying to pursue a relationship. But I am out here looking. But I'm not trying to pursue anything because I can't pursue anything. No woman in her right mind is gonna want to deal with me.
Oh, you absolutely right about that one.
And no man in his right mind would want to deal with a woman because
Still living with her ex-husband.
correct.
And still living with his ex-wife. You're right. There's nobody that you're going to find out there that's going to accept those circumstances.
So honestly, for me, that is my excuse for me to honestly get to know who King is.
But everything you just said to me is valued enough to say that you guys should have never got divorced.
Overstood. But I don't like misery.
But you're still in the same situation.
But we're not
The
miserable.
only thing that's changed is your title.
And but we're not miserable. I'm not miserable.
So
why?
you guys
Because
are miserable because of titles, because of a title.
maybe I was. I can put that out there for me. Maybe I was
Because that's
I
the only
couldn't-
thing that's different.
Because I couldn't do what I wanted to do how I wanted to do it.
Oh, you able to do that now?
Of course.
So you're not seeing anybody then?
I'm not
And she's not seeing anybody
that I know of.
that you know of. So, and you guys are not having conjugal visits.
None.
So how do you take care of your physical needs and she takes care of hers? Or y'all just
Well,
don't care enough about those needs?
Well, again, I'm 49. I've been thankful to have many women cross my path in my life for me to know how that feels. Again, as a man, mentally, that feeling, it can't prove more than getting to know an actual person, what they like. I never took time to find out what a woman liked long enough to get to know you. I was always trying to get in score mode. All right, so now that to me, I'm a man. Right now, as a man, I'm gonna take care of my family. I'm gonna get out here and pursue my business. I'm gonna busy myself with trying to do the things that I want to do now, which is leaving a legacy, or JALW, trucking. And once I get to where I'm getting to with that and see trucks on the road with my name on it and me employing people, I'll be happy because that's what I actually set out to do. And that was the one disappointment that woman gave me, that when I started that business, I was asked, why? What do you mean, why? Why did you start a business? Why do you start a business? You start a business because you're trying to be better. I'm not trying to be someone's employee for the rest of my life.
Well, that's pretty admirable.
And if you're supposed to be my wife, then this business is going to build us. So that was the biggest disappointment I had. And from there, I can honestly say I down spiraled from there. It wasn't anything that you could do to rebound me from that.
I think
You just knocked my dream.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
Because as I listen to you and I listen to the story, man, I would have to tell you that I think you still love your wife.
I do. I'm not gonna lie.
And I think that, and my opinion, and this is just an opinion, as I reference back to the comments that you offered about moving forward and about why you chose to stay in a relationship with your ex-wife and the reasons for doing so, your children and all, which is very admirable because most men think of themselves and they just getting on up and go about their business and they just, whatever happens, happens. And I also can tell you that you can still take care and support your children and still not be in the same house with them.
Understood.
You know you can do that, right? You don't have to be there to do that. But because you're doing that, that tells me that it's not just about the children, but it's also about the woman as well.
Okay.
I think that you guys, did y'all have counseling? Did
No.
y'all seek any? I think had you guys sought some counseling before you got divorced, you guys would have never gotten divorced, because apparently you guys are at an age where you are at the prime of your lives.
49, 46.
Yeah, you at the prime of your lives. This is where you start doing things. This is where the legacy takes hold, and you start making plans for your kid. Not that you wouldn't have made them early, but you begin to see more about them than about yourselves, because you've had some living behind you. I think that because you are willing to forego meeting someone else, and she is too, by being conjoined in this relationship, this type of relationship that y'all in, I would probably almost suggest that you would probably should just remarry that woman, renew your vows, and work this thing out, because I see everything within you to work this relationship out, to actually be married to each other, but not doing so without counseling first, because you guys both need some counseling that is going to help you to see each other's sides, that is going to help you to make one agreeable plan and purpose for your lives that you guys will pursue vigorously together. But I do see enough love and commitment within the two of you, because no two people who don't want to be with each other would choose to be with each other under any circumstances
whatsoever.
Not any circumstances. But because you guys choose to do this, and you are okay with this, that is clearly suggestive that you guys ought to still be together. That you guys should probably think about renewing your vows, remarrying each other after counseling, and get into a better understanding of who you are, who she is, and what it is you guys are trying to do. I would also tell you that if you guys are divorced and you truly want to be divorced, then living together under these conditions is not the answer. And the reason why I say it's not the answer, because as long as you're living in that environment, under those conditions, you will never get to know you, because you are still functioning under false pretenses in this situation, as well as she. And you're doing a disservice to yourself, as well as her doing a disservice to herself, by not freeing yourself from these soul ties. Because as long as you're together, the soul ties can't die. As long as the soul tie lives, the past lives within you, and there's no possibility for future aspirations. And if you guys are going to move forward, in a sense that you are seeking the face of God, you're seeking the will of God, you're having a relationship with yourself, learning how to love yourself all over again. You cannot move forward until you learn how to love yourself again, and love yourself enough to be able to let go all soul ties, to let go all of those things that are not in agreement with who you are and with the purposeful intentions for your life as God has prescribed them for you, just as the doctor prescribed prescriptions for certain ailments and illnesses. So it's the same thing in a relationship. Somebody that's not supposed to be with you, that's still there hanging around, is an ailment. It's an illness. And illnesses and illnesses and ailments have to be cured. They have to be healed. So you have to be able to move on, to be able to take care and treat the sickness or the disease, or whatever that is. You want to rid yourself of it, not treat it and keep it. You want to treat it and release it. Does that make sense?
Already.
So I think that where you are is a great opportunity for some soul searching and some really, really seeking the face of God collectively, to find out if this is where you guys are supposed to be. And if this is not where you're supposed to be, I would suggest that you guys part ways, and that you take care of your daughters and show them that although you're not together with their mother, you are still their father. You're still going to take care of them. You're still going to have this great relationship with their mother. You guys are going to do things together if that's what y'all do, but you are going to move on with your lives. You owe that to yourself. She owes that to herself to be happy. I don't hear happiness in you. I know you're not happy, but I think you could be. I think you could be if you guys were open and honest with yourselves about where you really are, where you really want to be, and where you really want to sow, so you can grow where you're sowing. I think y'all are planting corn and you're reaping cotton. You got to sow where you want to grow. If you want to grow good times and good ties and fellowship and faithfulship with God and purpose and intention, you got to sow it there. You got to put it all there. All the marbles got to go in that one basket. All the seeds got to go in that soil, in that ground. It can't work any other way.
Well, like I said, with you saying all that, it just came to me. To her, I put my business before her.
Can't be.
I put my business before her.
Can't be. And you say your business, but if y'all married, it ain't your business. It's y'all's business. And nothing can become before God, and nothing can come before your house or your children. So your business is way down the line. If all those things are other in place, but that's a conversation. That's not a divorce. That's a conversation. That's a conversation to be had. Well, baby, listen, let's talk about this. I know the business is what you want for our family. I appreciate that. I love you so much for it. But I just want you to be able to see us, see me, see our children, see our household, see our fellowship with God, see where we are and how we can make this a more perfect union with each other and for each other by being able to establish a better understanding of how the business fits into our lives and not how our lives fit into our business.
Okay.
I think that there's great hope for you guys. I really do. I think that, there's a lot of opportunity there that exists. I think that if you guys are willing to sit down with someone and have a conversation, conversations to release yourselves from some things that are bothering you guys, to cut some of those cancers out of you guys, I think that y'all can make it. I think after 17 years and still being willing, still going through a divorce and still willing to live with each other under the same roof, you guys deserve to be happy. There's no sense in living under those conditions and not being able to love and appreciate each other. Life is short.
Very.
The only thing that we're guaranteed in life is this moment right here. Not even the next moment. We're not even talking about the next day, the next week, or we're talking about the next moment. As short as life is and the way people are dying every day, you guys have got to cherish every single moment. You said that you want to do this for your kids, but don't you know your kids know y'all not happy? What y'all are telling y'all children right now is don't get married. Don't find nobody to be in love with because you're going to live in misery. Because y'all living together, but y'all miserable.
Currently, no. I'm not. I can kid you not. I'm just as happy as I can be.
Are you?
I am.
If you happy with not being able to move on and you happy in that situation that you're in, you guys deserve to be together. That's your wife right there at home. You need to go home and get her. You need to go home, get on your knees, pray with her together, and tell God y'all sorry and find out how to move forward. If you are right with the way things are right now.
But it's two people.
That's a conversation.
It's two people.
That's a conversation.
What I just told you, I can speak for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And mind you, again, like I said, the part of getting to know King, I always had something available for me.
I understand.
Now that I have something within arm's reach, but I can't acquire it, that has been a very hard milestone bridge for me to cross. But I've gotten across that bridge, and I have gotten more closer to God because I'm not focused on sexual acts.
I got you, and I can appreciate that, and I thank you for saying that, and if getting to a point in your life, man, where you're not motivated by intimacy, by sex, all right, and that's a beautiful place to be. But I think in this moment of having shared with our audience about life and living, about love, about marriage, about the thereafter, what would you tell our listening audience about a man in love with a woman?
I honestly would not try to tell you anything other than put God first. Let God be the author, the director of your movie, of your life. And you won't go wrong. Because I can tell you, he can tell me anything, and it just won't work because we're not getting it from the source, and the source is Jehovah.
I understand. Well, I thank you for sharing with us. I thank you for enlightening the general populace about trying to understand the dynamics of a love affair that has gone north, but yet and still in context. It's a very unusual situation, very admirable on one end, and very, on the other end, it's kind of like I see so many opportunities. And I just want to say, thank you for sharing with us. I just wanted the public to be able to hear that there is love after you think love is gone. There is still opportunity to discover that that's still within you, that there's opportunity and occasion to revamp what we thought was once lost, and to correct some errors and some mistakes, and to be able to move forward in such a way that we have a better understanding of who we are, where we are, and what it is we want to do. And all under the auspices of knowing that God is first and foremost in our lives, and that we have to continue to seek his will and his ways. Listen, Talking After Dark family, King has shared with you some of his issues and circumstances in his life, but he's never once denied the will and the ways of God. He's always said that God is the answer, God is the truth and the light, and that with him that you will be successful, and without him you won't be. There's great opportunities in his situation for him and his wife to reconjoin and to show that things can happen, that impossibilities can be possibilities. And I agree with that. I just want you to think about it, to listen to it, think about your own current situations and things that you've been through and possibility of going through. But nevertheless, share, like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you and take care.